Good morning, good morning, good morning. Peace and blessings. It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless, and I'm back with a reaction video. You know one thing that I'm tired of, bro? I am really sick and tired of racism in this world. I mean, this is an ultimate sickness. At the end of the day, man, we know it exists, but it is horrible, man, to see human beings, you know what I'm saying, disliking each other, since the beginning of time, over race, difference of religion, just differences of ideology, difference in politics, just causing division amongst the human race, right? And we know what happened in the past. We know what happened in the future. At the end of the day, man, I just wish that we could get past this whole issue of race, man. And I see that it's not just in America, it's worldwide, you know. So right now, man, I'm talking about my reaction to Trump and the white South African refugees. I haven't really been paying attention to it because, to be truthful, I don't care. So if people don't know, Donald Trump let some white South Africans, 59 of them, seek asylum and come to the United States because they said that they were fearing for their life. That ain't why I voted for Trump. Don't care one way or the other. They went through the vetting process, unlike illegal. Like if they came over here illegally, I would be against it. Trump can do what he want to do when it comes to things like that. It don't bother me. But for some reason, a lot of black people and other people, I ain't gonna just say black people, it's a lot of white liberals, a lot of, Latinos, a lot of people, period, that don't like Trump is like, aha. So you gonna go say the white South Africans, what about the black South Africans? So my thing is this, man. We never know what's behind it. Is it true? I've been looking for evidence, and this is just my fair and objective reaction to it because I don't care about it one way or the other, but a lot of people been bringing this to me, and I'm seeing other people talking about it. So I just decided to go ahead and get in real time, bring up some visuals, and let's get a little history on what's been going on. You know what I'm saying? So let's see here. Yeah, let's go to this. Let's do some liberal media. Let's go to Anderson Cooper on CNN, and let's see what they got to say about it. And then I'm going to do a reaction in real time.
Executive order, effectively stopping any refugees from being allowed to come and resettle in the United States. Now, there's an act passed by Congress called the Refugee Act, which allows for as many as 125,000 refugees in this fiscal year, people who can prove they're being persecuted or fear persecution because of race or religion or political beliefs. And nowhere near that number has been allowed in by the time Mr. Trump took office and shut it all down. But just a few weeks later, President Trump announced that he was making an exception. And not only that, he would expedite the processing of refugee claims by one group of people from Africa. Now, you might think it's some women and children who've been maybe sexually assaulted in the conflict in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, a place that's seen fighting for decades. On this program, we reported on the violence, the plight of people there in a series of programs in 2006.
What has gone on here is simply extraordinary. Over the last 10 years here, there has been major fighting between a number of different groups. It has been the deadliest war in our lifetime, the deadliest war since World War II. Some 3 to 4 million people have died in this country, and their deaths have virtually gone unnoticed.
And there's a whole new round of fighting that's been going on in eastern Congo between the government and an armed group called M23. Thousands have died, hundreds of thousands displaced, and widespread reports of sexual violence against women. But President Trump hasn't allowed refugees from there here, nor from Sudan, where there's been terrible fighting. The only Africans President Trump has paved a quick path for are these South Africans. And yes, they are white. They are Afrikaners, descendants of Dutch settlers to South Africa. This is the first group of people granted refugee status to enter the U.S. since the president entered his second term. On February 7th, President Trump signed this executive order carving out an exception for the Afrikaners, the white minority who created the racist apartheid regime in South Africa and ruled there cruelly and brutally until 1994. When Black South Africans, the overwhelming majority of South Africans, were allowed to vote for the first time, and they voted for that man, Nelson Mandela. Afrikaners took land from Black people in South Africa, repressed them, and in the 3 decades since the end of apartheid, they still have all the land they took. Blacks.
Okay, let's stop that right there because they just said a lot. So, from my understanding, you know, when the white Dutch settlers came to South Africa, they took over a certain portion of the South African land. They got all the farmland. It became very wealthy, and these are the descendants of apartheid. So what I get from that is kind of like what's similar going on over here in America. You know, when we talk about the transatlantic slave trade, you have the descendants of the people that were the slave masters, and you have the descendants of the slaves. And the descendants of the slave masters have majority of the wealth, right? But I think over time, there has been a change in South Africa where now the white South Africans feel like, oh, snap, we losing, like, you know, they might be, you know, it's something. Because a lot of people will say this. Oh, you got all this wealth that your family had took from the Black South Africans. So now maybe it's something dwindling or you feel unsafe. Now you trying to get up out of here. Ain't this the roosters coming home? You know what's that saying? Is this karma for your people? Is this karma for if they are allegedly being victimized by the Black South Africans? Would you consider this they karma? And if it is that what we want to do right now? If we just want to be like, hey, your ancestors killed my ancestors, so we gonna kill y'all. Or should I say unalive? My bad. Your ancestors unalive and enslaved our ancestors, so that gives us the green light to take over your land and grape y'all women and do what y'all did to us. Is that what you saying that that's cool? If it's true, because I haven't seen any evidence that this happened. I looked for it. I didn't see anything. There's no data saying white South Africans are being victimized like that. I haven't really seen nothing that is statistical. But just given the history that he breaking down, I can kind of understand, both sides of the scale. Because some people on one end is gonna say, well, that's their karma, because look what their ancestors did to their ancestors. And on the other side, you're gonna have people saying, well, wait a minute, are we trying to go forwards or backwards? So let's continue.
Black South Africans, who make up over 80% of the population, still only own around 4% of private land. Now, President Trump was asked why these Afrikaners were allowed to enter the U.S.
Why are you creating an expedited path into the country for Afrikaners but not others?
Because they're being killed, and we don't want to see people be killed. It's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about, but it's a terrible thing that's taking place, and farmers are being killed. They happen to be white. but whether they're white or black makes no difference to me. But white farmers are being brutally killed, and their land is being confiscated in South Africa. And the newspapers and the media, television media, doesn't even talk about it. If it were the other way around, they talk about it. That would be the only story they talk about.
Wow. Now let's see what Trump's saying right here is he's saying indefinitely that it's happening. Maybe he privy to some information we not privy to. But Trump is saying indefinitely that these people are being unalive, they being raped, they being targeted. These white South Africans, you know what I'm saying, are being targeted, and he don't care if they were white or black. They refugees, and he don't want to see them. You know, if he could save them, he gonna save them. And like I said, it was 59 of them, so they ain't a lot. Like I said, I don't have a dog in this fight, but people want to talk about it. People upset about it. People like, hey man, get off that. They deserve to be rescued. I'm just here giving my sincere reaction to this matter that I didn't vote for Trump. This wouldn't have changed my mind if he did or if he didn't do it, you know. But from what he's saying, and I rock with Trump. So maybe he privy to some information that we not privy to. I can't say yay or nay. But what I can say is, if it's true, then I get it. If it's not true, I'm trying to understand what would make wealthy farmers that's living a privileged lifestyle in South Africa drop everything, leave their homes, leave their land, lead a comfortable life to go start over in a whole nother country from piss poor. That's what I want to. I don't understand that concept. To me, if it's nothing going on, you ain't gonna leave your comfortable wealth, the wealth that y'all been there for 4 generations. So to me, it's like something going on. I'm just saying.
And I don't care who they are. I don't care about their race, their color. I don't care about their height, their weight. I don't care about anything. I just know that what's happening is terrible. I have people that live in South Africa. They say it's a terrible situation taking place. So we've essentially extended citizenship to those people to escape from that violence and come here.
The idea that there's a genocide of white farmers going on in South Africa is just not true. It's absurd. And that's been debunked by a number of organizations, both inside and outside of South Africa. But it's become a rallying cry for the some right-wing elements inside the country, and has echoed all the way to America. Let me just go back to Sudan for a moment. An actual genocide has happened there, according to the U.S., as 2 warring factions battled for control of that country earlier this year. The U.S. accused one side, the RSF, of committing genocide. More than 11 million people have been internally displaced, while millions more have fled the country. That's according to the UN. They aren't allowed to be refugees here. And on top of this, the Afghans who worked alongside U.S. troops during the war as interpreters and guides and fixers, Afghans who fought for the United States, helped save American lives.
Now, Anderson Cooper, I gotta say, Anderson Cooper got some points. He got some actual points. It's a lot of other people that, if you want to say refugees, there's other people out there. I mean, he making some points. Now, Trump, now you got, it's a lot of people, but you can't say it's millions of horror stories across the planet. So we can't save everybody. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, we already got illegal immigration problem in this country. So it would be asinine to think that we could go around the world just, y'all come on over here. We already got too much going on in this country that we trying to fix. So Anderson Cooper got a point, but then again, it's like, we can't bring everybody over here, especially right now while we in a rebuilding situation. So I'm thinking it would have to be something so severe, so traumatic. You know what I'm saying? that you would just single out this specific group of white South Africans. You know, because I mean, like Anderson Cooper said, it could have been all type of people, man, that they could have fit that description.
And we're allowed here under a temporary protected status. Well, now we learned that status is not going to be renewed next week, according to the Department of Homeland Security, which means many who helped save U.S. lives may be deported starting in July. Joining us now is New York Times columnist Nicholas Kristof. Nick, you say this whole situation upside down. The idea that there's a genocide of white farmers. I mean, why do you think the Trump administration is doing this?
Well, I mean, he's completely turned refugee policy upside down in ways that reflect racial discrimination. I mean, he's not, the Afrikaner farmers are not suffering from that. It is true that some have been murdered, but Black farmers have been murdered at even higher rates. And you know,
right, there's a huge crime rate.
Crime
rate in South Africa. Crime is a huge problem. But according to organizations there, there's been no forcible taking back of confiscation of land at this point.
Not at all. And, you know, it is true that there was legislation passed in January that theoretically creates an opportunity to confiscate some land.
The viral 30-second pink salt.
Okay, so the commercial came in right on time. I mean, we could stop there right there. You know what I'm saying? We could stop that one. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. You know, I don't know. I really don't care, to be honest with you, like I said. But it's just interesting to get that little brief history, to know what they came from and what's going on. And like I said, you look at it on one end, you know, they wealthy, own all this land. Why would you leave all your wealth? Now y'all over here in America sleeping in best westerns, starting all over again. And then, you know what's crazy? It ain't no statistics out there that you can verify this information on. So, you know, like Anderson Cooper said, it's other people that could affect that description. What made you single out this group? Was it that dire? I mean, who knows? But one thing that's interesting that I want to share with y'all is this. The president of South Africa came out and spoke and called them cowards for leaving. So I want to share that right here. This is interesting, though. Like, how you gonna call them cowards now? That just was, you know, why do you care? If they ancestors enslave your land and you, like, you know, enslaved your if the Dutch ancestors, the descendants of the Dutch, they ancestors enslaved your ancestors, why you care about them leaving? I would be happy. But you call them cowards? Like, hold on, let's roll this clip.
When you run away, you're a coward. And that's a real cowardly act.
President Ramaphosa is blasting Afrikaners who are leaving for the U.S., calling it a cowardly act. This comes after about 60 Afrikaners sought refuge in America. The White House is worried. They've even used the word genocide to describe the situation facing white South Africans.
What's happening in South Africa fits the textbook definition of why the refugee program was created. This is persecution based on a protected characteristic, in this case, race. So this is race-based persecution. The refugee program is not intended as a solution for global poverty. And historically, it has been used that way. Wherever there's global poverty or wherever there's dysfunctional governments, then the U.S. refugee program comes in, swoops people up, relocates them to America.
Ramaphosa says these folks should stay put. He wants them to help fix the inequalities left over from apartheid. He says South Africans need to be tough and face their problems.
Okay, so he's saying y'all need to stick around. He said y'all need to come back and fix the situation with them. I don't understand that. What can y'all fix? Listen, we fixed it. We left. The land is yours. What y'all want us to do? That's how I'm looking. If I'm the white South Africans, and you say our ancestors stole y'all land through apartheid, we fleeing the land. Now the land is yours again. Why would you want them to stay? Y'all could take all their wealth, take all their houses, take all their farmland that they stole from you. They just forfeited it back to you. So why would you then call them cowards and tell them to stay? I don't get that part. Let's continue.
I had a conversation with President Trump on the phone, and he said, what's happening down there? And I said, President, what you've been told by those people who are opposed to transformation back home in South Africa is not true.
He even predicts they'll be back soon, saying there's no place like South Africa. Afrikaners have been in South Africa for centuries, since the 1600s. They held power until apartheid ended in 1994. Now, some feel targeted by violence. They believe the government isn't doing enough to protect them. The South African government denies any bias, but the White House has been very vocal about the killings of white farmers. Remember when President Trump pulled the U.S. out of a G20 summit in South Africa, and the South African ambassador was told to leave the U.S.? This story is far from over.
Wow. So there's a little history there between, America and South Africa, you know what I'm saying? Like they just said. So, man, maybe this is a political thing too. Hey, man, I'm just giving y'all my honest reaction in real time. And like I said, I don't understand why the president would have a problem with these white farmers leaving when they basically forfeiting all their wealth back to you. They'd be like, all right, man, go on, shoot, I'm about to rack up. I get this to my people. Shoot, what you mean? You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. But I do want to hear from some of these people, man. Like, what y'all got to say to some of the people that fled from South Africa, these white South Africans? Why did y'all leave from your own mouth? Tell us what happened, bro. Because this thing ain't making no sense. It's many different ways to look at it. But the only way to get some clarification, and I got a clip right here, is to hear it from their mouth themselves. Oh, wait a minute. That's the wrong clip. Let me get the right clip for y'all. My bad. I'm a little sleepy. But yeah, man, we gotta get to the bottom of this, man. Let's roll this clip.
Now, this week, a group of 59 white South Africans arrived in the US, where they've been granted refugee status. President Donald Trump says the refugee applications were expedited because they're victims of racial discrimination. The South African government denies this. Afrikaners settled in South Africa nearly 4 centuries ago and led the apartheid movement there. Usually it takes years for the government to process refugees. This group waited just 3 months. Let's go to our North America correspondent, Namia Iqbal, now, who has been speaking exclusively to one of these men who is resettling in Buffalo, New York. Namia, what did he have to say?
This is the first time we've heard from one of those Afrikaners that is now seen as a refugee here in America. Charles Kleinhaus is 46 years of age. He comes from a beautiful province in South Africa, a lovely farmland. And now he lives in a budget hotel near a highway with his 2 children and very young grandson. So the change in life could not be starker. But he said to me that he had to do it for safety reasons. Mr. Kleinhaus has also come under particular scrutiny given that old posts of his, which are anti-Jewish, have been found, and has led to all these questions about were these people properly vetted, as refugees often are. The Department of Homeland Security said to us today they were vetted. Nonetheless, it has raised these questions, and Mr. Kleinhaus defended those posts to me, but he also defended his right, as he sees it, to be here in America as a refugee.
If you're white, you're wrong in South Africa. You're a land thief. You are a racist. The whole time it's being told, and there is racist white people, plenty of them.
You say you're not a racist white person?
No, not at all. I've got many black friends. I think I've got more African black men as friends as white friends. I'm tired of being told just because I'm white, I'm a thief. Just because I'm white, I'm wrong in this. I had nothing to do with apartheid. Nothing.
Is there anything specific that's happened, Charles, that made you think, I've got to get out of here? I've got to leave?
After the death rates and stuff and my machinery being cut up, and I'm still, after reporting everything to the police, not getting any protection or anything like that. The only thing that's left on my farm is a sign that says mining area. All the fences has been taken off. Boom gates has been broken off.
There are voices out there, including the South African president, who has called you cowards.
Yeah.
You've got other Afrikaners who are saying that you're not refugees, you're opportunists, that you've abandoned the country. What would you say to those people?
I had to leave a 5-bedroom house, which I will lose now because I'm not going to pay for it, behind, my car behind, my dogs behind, my mother behind. It is not, I didn't come here for fun, but my children are safe.
Okay. Now he said a mouthful, right? He said a mouthful. One have to ask, like, why would a man leave a 5-bedroom house, leave his mother, leave his cars, leave everything, all his wealth behind, just to go start all the way over in another country? What kind of, sense does that make? Unless something going on. I mean, like I said, I just couldn't imagine leaving everything behind for no reason. You know what I'm saying? It defies logic. But, he said that the police wasn't offering no help. The people destroying his property, and to no avail. He said his safety of him and his children was what he prioritized. Hey, I'm just giving my honest reaction, bro. Let's continue.
What was it like when you got off the shuttle bus and came into that hangar and were greeted by the Trump administration?
It was overwhelming. I didn't expect that because I thought we were going to be in a shuttle bus, taken somewhere, and we will start working. All of us that is there, we know we're going to start here from the bottom because we are the new people here. We're going to start from the bottom.
Do you ever worry that you might be caught up in some big political game here? That you're a pawn somehow?
Yeah, it's a scary thing, but people mustn't think we're just taking advantage of this. We're coming here to make a contribution to the country.
Old tweets of yours have been dug up in which you appear to have made anti-Semitic comments, and so people are questioning, should you be here? What would you say to that?
I would like them.
What would you like to clarify?
I've deleted the comment, but I was actually thinking I should have not deleted it. If you can look where I commented on, it was Passover, the Orthodox Jews, and I'm Christian, were spitting and screaming and bumping Christians walking with the cross. For me as a Christian, that is not acceptable. In Israel, and I went and I said something on Twitter, which I copy and pasted from somebody else's page, because if you go read my post, you'll see it's not the way I write.
So you had quoted someone else. I mean, the quotes.
I copied and pasted it.
The quotes were anti-Semitic. Yeah. They said Jews are dangerous people. They're untrustworthy. They're not God's chosen people. I was
super angry.
So you did it out of anger.
Yeah, and I was in hospital at that point of time. I was on morphine. But that's not an excuse.
Drugs don't make you an anti-Semite, though, do they?
Even now, if I would see any person going against my religion, I will speak up against it.
You have high hopes being here in America. Is there a part of you that is anxious that it might not work out?
No, to be honest with you, because of my belief, I believe this is God's plan for me.
Wow. Well, we can stop that. Now we heard from a refugee from South Africa, white South African, you know, and really, man, it's really like a crazy situation here, man. You know, you could dice it up many different ways. My takeaways from it, which I said, I ain't got no dog in this fight. It don't bother me if they here, if they not. But one thing I could say that I'm really, and I started off saying this video with, is I'm just so tired of just racism on this planet, man. I really, it's becoming unbearable, man. You know, just, you know, like he was saying, he made some comments about Jewish people, you know, and it's like, come on, man. Everybody need to figure out a way to coexist. And being that this is a situation where people are gonna have mixed views about it, I want to see how it pans out in the end. Because, like I said, it just doesn't make any sense for a group of people to up and leave everything if it wasn't nothing going on to begin with, you know. But hey, what say you? Drop it in the comment section. It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. We love y'all, and until next time, we'll see you soon. Peace and blessings.